Now, The Hunt Palmer Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Presented by Schneider's Golf Mechanics. Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. That means we're brought to you by Schneider's Golf Mechanics. Thanks for hanging out with us about half the work week in the rear view mirror. Got Jacob Beck and Casey Gaines back there on the ones and twos. A lot of our Wednesday usuals. JD Picell of On 3 Sports will be with us in 15 minutes. It is a What If Wednesday. Still got time to get some of those in the Bayou Ford chat on YouTube or via Twitter. You can hit me up there. I got a mock draft from The Athletic that I would like to get to a little bit later. LSU and Syracuse played last night, and it was not very good. We'll talk about that. I have some thoughts on the college football playoff rankings from last night. Some that involve LSU, actually, obviously pertaining to next year's college football playoff. And the moment you've all been waiting for months and months and months. The final SEC football power rankings of the year. And we will go back and take a look at the initial SEC power rankings of the year and just see how that winding road got to where we are today. Take it or leave it, of course, to finish out the show. So thanks for making us part of your day. Let's get into it right now. I don't make a habit, quite frankly, of overreacting or even reacting to tweets from college kids, certainly not high school kids. I think that's something that can be easy to get sucked into, and you're trying to read things and see nuance and maybe figure something out when sometimes kids are just tweeting out a funny joke they heard or lyrics to a song they like or something that is an inside joke with them and 4 other people, and it just gets out into the world because that's what social media is. So forgive me for actually giving a bunch of time to a couple of tweets here, but it's not really the tweets that we're getting to. It's more so the future of LSU football on the defensive line. So we'll start with a tweet from Mekhi Wingo, where he put a picture of him inside Tiger Stadium celebrating a big play on defense, and he put a little guitar emoji next to it. Casey's got it up on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. I don't know what the guitar means. Maybe it means that was the last song. Maybe it means there's an encore coming. Maybe he just likes the celebration he was doing and it means something in a song. I don't know what the tweet means, but hypothetically, maybe he's coming back. Hypothetically, maybe he's not. However, that will matter to LSU football, whether or not Mekhi Wingo decides to come back for another year of college football. I think it would do himself a lot of good to come back. It's one of those deals where you never say what a young person should or shouldn't do with their lives. And usually I'm on the side in these discussions of, hey, I think it's time to go start your professional career. In this case, I think Mekhi Wingo can put another great year of tape on like he did his freshman year, like he did his sophomore year, like he quite frankly didn't this year because of injury. And I think he can come back and up his draft stock. And it's not like college baseball, where if you come back for your 4th year, you've compromised yourself financially with your professional contract. In the NFL, it doesn't work that way. You get drafted here, you get this. And I think he can do himself a lot of good if he were to come back. So that's one piece to this thing. Braden Swinson sent out a tweet earlier this week and said, feel like they didn't feel me enough this year. And then someone responded, hey, you ought to tell Mason Smith and Mekhi Wingo to come on back next year. In this case, he pulls it up on the screen. He says, they're my main focus right now, meaning sounds like Braden Swinson would like to come back and have people feel him for one more year, and that he'd like to have Mekhi Wingo and Mason Smith alongside him. And this basically creates a discussion of what can LSU do to start this overhaul and reparation to a historically bad defense. Well, I think it does help to get some old players back. I would not suggest that anyone, from Mekhi Wingo to Braden Swinson to Ovie Agofu to Mason Smith to Jacobian Guillory, Jordan Jefferson, Braden Swinson, Savion Jones, Paris Shan, Quincy Wiggins, Jackson Howard, Deshaun Womack, like nobody in that group had an awesome year. Not one. Nobody on LSU's defensive front this year had even 3 sacks on the season. Not one player. I would suggest that some players played a little bit above the expectation we may have had of them. I would include Jordan Jefferson there. But nobody was great on LSU's defensive front. That also doesn't mean I want to see everybody out the door and get a whole new 8 guys in there. That's not really how this works either. The transfer portal is great for changing things in a hurry. I would not try to overhaul an entire unit with transfers. I think Mekhi Wingo coming back would be great. I think Braden Swinson coming back would be a positive. He had 6.5 tackles for loss for this team and a couple of sacks. Would you like to see those numbers come up a little bit? Sure. Was he as good as anybody they had outside of Harold Perkins rushing the passer? Yeah, probably. And is he going to be an old player next year? Yeah, I'd take him back in a second. You look around at Jordan Jefferson. He's got a COVID year to come back. He had 6 tackles for loss to lead this group that I'm going through and a sack and a half. I wouldn't going to expect a huge, sack output from Jordan Jefferson this year. But I would love to have him back in this group. If you could get Mason Smith back, I would certainly take him. And I will say this. Mason Smith, unlike anybody else on this entire sheet that I'm going through outside of Deshaun Womack, has a ton of expectation on him the second he steps on the field because of what recruiting experts said about him in high school and what Brian Kelly said about him in press conferences. And certainly, I sat right here in this chair and heaped expectation and praise on Mason Smith. Now, I would put a little less stock into what I have to say as opposed to guys who analyze high school prospects for a living and as coaches, and certainly I would put more stock in what Brian Kelly has to say than what I do. But Mason Smith, in my opinion, did not put him in position to make an NFL roster next year. Things happen, and his frame is really impressive. But the tape is not there at the collegiate level. I don't think anybody's going to fight me on that. But the potential, I would suggest, is still there. And it's been an up and down deal for him because of the amount of defensive line coaches that have come and gone. Basically 4 of them in 3 years. That it's tough to get into a rhythm. But I think there's a possibility he can help. And I think it's a long shot that he would be a high enough draft pick that a team would really prioritize him in August. So if you could get Mekhi Wingo back, and Mason Smith back, and Jordan Jefferson back, and Braden Swinson back, and then you look at Savion Jones, who I was looking for as a breakout player this year, and that didn't necessarily happen. Savion Jones had 3.5 tackles for loss and 2.5 sacks. I was looking for him to be the next breakout behind Arden Key, to Caleb Von Chason, to B.J. Ojolari, to Savion Jones. Those are the 4- and 5-star guys you brought in on the edge that have those long, lean frames that are the next man up. And it wasn't too early for Savion Jones. He was a junior this year. He just didn't quite break out. He makes that play in the backfield early against Mississippi State, and you're going, that's the guy I'm looking to see. And it just wasn't quite consistent enough. And that doesn't put him alone on this list. Most guys you could say that for. But you're talking about a group there when you add in Deshaun Womack, who I think a lot of us want to see more of, and you see maybe what Jackson Howard has, and Quincy Wiggins is still around, even though he only played in 4 games this year. To me, 2 years in, and you're giving me 4 games, that's a little bit of cause for concern. I don't know. He's still got an amazing frame and crazy athleticism, and he's a raw player and a young player in his football career relative to a lot of guys who play college football. But I think it's okay to start with that group. And you're bringing in Sean Washington, junior college defensive tackle, good enough player out of the state of Louisiana, go to Georgia to start things off. Then it was kind of late in the process, so he decided to go to JUCO, and he's going to come back to LSU. You're bringing in Demarion Johnson, a 3-star defensive tackle, bringing in C.J. Jackson, a 4-star edge. And then you've got to go to the transfer portal and find some impact. You've got to find your Mekhi Wingo. You've got to find your Landon Jackson, who obviously Arkansas found here, who got 6.5 sacks for them this year. Maybe you can find Jared Verse. Wasn't like he was at Alabama or Georgia and Florida State got him. They went and found him at a smaller school, and he developed into a first-round pick. That's a name you know. You may not know Marcus Harris from Auburn. He went to Kansas, and Auburn found him at Kansas, and he had 7 sacks this year. That was 7th in the SEC. Those guys are out there. And if you can add 2 high-end transfer portal guys and bring back some of the veteran guys and maybe get a more stable coaching situation than you've had the last 3 years, there's reason to think that can be a decent front. I've got far bigger concerns with what's going on in the secondary. And I've said time after time after time that I thought there was talent on the defensive line, and I couldn't figure out why they weren't playing the way I thought they could play. And maybe that makes me Charlie Brown and Lucy's pulling the football. And we'll get into spring, and these guys will look good, and we'll get into fall camp, and I'll say, man, you're really old with a lot of guys who have played a lot of football, and you've added some talent there, and you're healthier than you have been because Smith missed a whole year, and then Wingo was banged up for half a year, and maybe this is a group that can get a lot better. And maybe that makes me Charlie Brown, and I'll go fly like an idiot trying to kick the football. But if I'm trying to fix the defense, it's got to start with players, because you could bring back the best defensive coach ever, and I think if the players aren't good enough, then it doesn't matter. But if Deshaun Womack makes a jump, and Wingo and Smith are healthy, and Jefferson's back, and Swinson goes from 6.5 tackles for loss and 2 sacks to 10 tackles for loss and 4 or 5 sacks, and you can go get 2 guys from the transfer portal who were more Landon Jackson, Jared Verse, Mekhi Wingo than some of the stuff you saw this year, I think you've got enough guys to form a competent defensive front in front of Harold Perkins, in front of Whit Weeks, in front of probably Greg Penn back for another year. And then we'll get to the secondary when we get to the secondary. They got to deal with that before I do on this radio show. It's a daunting task, and it's intimidating to look at right now after what we just did for 3 months, because that was a lot of tough Saturdays. But I think there's something there to work with on the defensive front. You got to have a position coach in place and re-recruit these guys, and man, would it be nice if Mekhi Wingo was one of those pieces who came back, because that's one of the few guys on this list that I know is an all-league player. I hope that Deshaun Womack is an all-league player. I hope Mason Smith's an all-league player. I hope Savion Jones is an all-league player. I hope the transfer portal guy that LSU may or may not add is an all-league player. Mekhi Wingo is. And if he can come back and be in the middle of this thing healthy, I think that helps. So that's a look at LSU's defensive front, reading tweets, as it were. We'll continue to talk about this defense, and we'll find out where LSU is headed for a bowl game coming up on Sunday. JD Picell joins us next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electric. Storm season's in the rearview mirror. That just means there's another one that's going to show up next year. Protect yourself from power outages, whether you're in your home and the power goes out or you've evacuated and the power goes out. You don't want to come back to a 104-degree home and everything in the freezer and fridge is ruined. Boudreaux's Electric can help you with that. And they've got incredible technology over at Boudreaux's Electric that allows them to monitor your Generac generator remotely. So whether it's just a normal Tuesday and something malfunctions, or there's a reason why there's been a malfunction, they'll know about it before you do. They'll give you a call and say, hey, we understand your generator's not working. Let's come out. We'll fix it so that when you need it, it's ready to roll. Neil and Melissa Boudreaux have operated Boudreaux's Electric for 40 years. They are premier Generac generator dealer. So for your home, your commercial property, your business, you don't want that power to go out, let Boudreaux's Electric help you out. Give them a call. That second location coming to Gonzales in early 2024, but the phone line's ready to roll. 225-300-9389, 225-300-9389. Give them a call. That's Boudreaux's Electric.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
was a humid day. Barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. Russ Mitchell will preview the SEC Championship game, and we'll head up to Detroit, take a closer look at the Lions. Join us for Wednesday's AFR, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Just heard Matt give a promo for Saints Lions on Sunday. I had a buddy text me, skipping out on sweet tickets for Saints Lions on Sunday to go play golf. I think that's where a lot of the fan base is with the black and gold. But we'll certainly talk Saints Lions a little later on in the week. For now, we'll talk a little college football as we do this time each and every week. So I got JD Picell from On3 Sports. He's the host of The Hard Count. He joins us now on Jim's Firearms Hotline. JD, how we doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's Find a Way week. It sounds like I'm walking through a fishbowl right now. I'm walking through the hallway. Find a Way week, man. Not everybody gets to play this weekend. Bowl season is right around the corner, but we got some hard work going out, man. I'm fired up. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well. Your thoughts on the two hires in the Southeastern Conference? Let's start there. A&M goes Mike Elko, and Mississippi State goes Jeff Lebby.
There's a third hire I think that was made somewhere else in like the Fayetteville region. I don't know if
there
y'all
was
heard about
one of those as well in Northwest Arkansas. They're having a resurrection there.
Yeah, familiar face. So that's good. No, I think to put it simply, I really like the A&M hire. I understand they probably took some bigger swings at like some splashier names, but for me it was impressive that it was more of, hey, what we need maybe more than what we want. Like the fact that there wasn't a Lane Kiffin chapter in this coaching search told me that A&M, I think, was looking at it the right way. And the thing with me, too, with Mike Elko, he was the guy that I would have picked out from the start, assuming that Dan Lanning and Mike Norvell are off the table, because I don't know if you saw that clip circulating in the Twitter sphere, Hunt, but they're doing the war hymn. They're rocking back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
And Mike Elko knows the word. Like, Mike Elko did not look shook. He's like, okay, this is exactly what I've signed up for. Okay, I'm good to go here. I know what I'm walking into. Whereas if you were to put somebody else in that situation, say, I don't know, Mark Stoops, I'm sure he would have eventually learned the lyrics. I'm sure he would have gotten up to speed. But I just think there's something to be said for knowing what you're signing up for. And a place like A&M, the fit is just so important. So I was a fan of that hire. The Jeff Lebby hire from Mississippi State, I thought it was encouraging if I'm a Mississippi State fan, because it just tells me, okay, we don't want to be 8-4. Like, we don't want to just live in the upper middle class of the SEC. This thing could flame out and go terribly wrong, but we're going to take a big swing here and go after someone with a ton of upside in Jeff Lebby. Schematically, I think he's probably what you need to win sooner rather than later in Starkville. He's kind of the Josh Heupel approach, right? Kind of the, we're going to spread you out, we're going to win with scheme. We don't have the big boys that Georgia and Bama and LSU have historically. Like, we're going to go ahead and win because we're going to dial it up and try and just out-scheme you. So, overall, I like both hires. I'm a fan of both hires, quite honestly. Right?
You got a comment on Petrino since you brought it up?
Well, we talked about it this morning, and my take on it is, like, hey, I want to do it. Like, to me, any distraction is just taken away from us trying to win football games. And by nature of the memes we're seeing right now in college football media, social media, like, that's a net negative at this point. The other thing I would say, though, is, like, the information that I have, that the public has, is not the same information that Sam Pittman has. And so Sam Pittman's the one that actually has to sit down, look him in the eye, have a conversation, figure out if it's worth betting his job on. So if Sam Pittman's betting his job on Bobby Petrino, more power to him, and he has more insight than anybody else. But again, if it's me, I don't like the move just based on the extra buzz it brings to a spot that's already a little bit high tension with the Sam Pittman era potentially almost finished.
Clearly, Sam did not get Jimbo's contact information when the whole crew goes down to Destin for their meetings, because he could have let Jimbo know. How does this work out if you bet your entire job on Bobby Petrino? And we know how that went. Yeah. So, all right, let's talk.
Yeah, we're gonna find out here.
Yeah, we sure will. Let's talk about championship weekend. Do you give Louisville any shot against a Jordan Travis-less Florida State?
I do. I think Florida State still finds a way to get it done, because they just have been the find-a-way team of the year every single week, it seems like. A big part of it, obviously, will be, can they adapt to Tate Rodemaker? Can they adapt their style to Tate Rodemaker? Meaning, we're going to have to run the football probably a little bit more effectively than we have overall this season. Going to have to play great defense and probably hold it down for a little bit while they get calibrated. And Louisville's a really aggressive defense, which I think is interesting in this matchup. How do you get your young quarterback from an experience level, ready to handle that? I think you'll see a lot of screen game, and I think it'll be a lot of get the ball out of his hands quick. And if they can execute that effectively and get it to the playmakers and allow them to impact the game, I think the defense is good enough to still find a way for them to hoist that hardware, which would make it an interesting playoff, but I do think they end up winning that game.
Oregon's now a massive favorite over Washington. How different are these two teams than they were when they played in Seattle?
It's been so funny, because just like you said, it's kind of been a tale of two trends. Washington started off the year, and like the hot take was Washington's the best team in the country because they've been so effective and they've scored so many points. And then ever since that game, they've just been scratching and clawing and finding a way to win ball games with, the win over Washington State and Oregon State. I do think that line is about right. I was surprised when I saw it at 7.5, but I'll tell you what, the more I think about it, the more that I look at this matchup, I think Oregon's going to win. I think Oregon's going to cover. I think they're so dynamic. Washington does not seem to be playing their best football right now. I think there's more ways for Washington to lose. I think there's more ways for Oregon to win. So, I like Oregon to win this game, Hunt, and I think they'll cover.
You can find that line all the way up to 10 now, which is just a massive amount of points. Where do you stand on 12-1 Pac-12 champion Oregon and 12-1 Big 12 champ Texas? It seems like from what the committee is saying that Oregon is going to go ahead there, because I can't imagine them winning against an undefeated team is going to drop them back behind Texas. But do you like that? I do. And I think the difficult part about it is when you throw Alabama into the equation, because Alabama's sitting there with one loss. And if they were to win the SEC, you're like, well, how do you put Texas and Oregon in and leave Alabama out, who has the best win in the entire country to beat the number one team? So if it were me, I probably would lean more heavily on the eye test, and I'd put Oregon in over either of those two. But if it comes down to that, like,
some of it's on Texas too. Of well, hey, we just didn't have much help in the Big 12 this year with anybody giving us juice on conference championship weekend. Like as good as Oklahoma State is, a top 20 Oklahoma State team doesn't have the same shine as a number 3 Washington does. So before they turn the lights out on the Pac-12, I mean, good for them for making it a kind of a nice trampoline for one of those teams to find their way into the playoffs.
If Michael Penix throws for 504 yards and 5 touchdowns and beats Oregon at the gun, can he win the Heisman?
I would say no.
Okay.
I would say no because I think there's still the Jaden Daniels effect, and there's still, I mean, I guess if they beat Oregon, that kind of eliminates Bo Nix, but I still lean Jaden Daniels. Now, is he going to win it? I don't know, but I think there has to be something for the body of work, and I keep going back to this stat, Hunt, like Michael Penix has had not 1 but 2 games with 0 touchdown passes, and as good as he's been the entirety of the season, that's 2 spots where you dropped a goose egg. And it's hard for me to forget that. So I think the people that vote for the Heisman too probably have a fair amount of emphasis on the stats. And if they go game by game, I have a hard time seeing him get that many first place votes.
Who do you think's going to win it?
I think it'll be Bo Nix.
Yeah.
I think it'll be Bo Nix. I love Bo Nix. I have all the respect in the world for what he's done this year. It's just so hard for me to look at what Jaden Daniels has done this year from the numbers, from just watching college football and saying, yeah, that guy's the best player every single Saturday. I mean, it's extremely unfortunate. It's not how I would do it. And I wouldn't be surprised here, too, if we look at this season, if Bo Nix wins the Heisman, if we don't have some kind of buzz around, well, should there be a change in the way that we do voting? Because everyone seems to have an issue with the Heisman voting, whether it's the people that get to vote on it, whether it's the fan vote thing. Like I don't pretend to know exactly how it works, but there seems to be a pretty big objection to it. I wonder if this is kind of that moment in history where it's like, hey, let's have a conversation here.
We'll see. I think there's cautious optimism around here, but I think everybody realizes that if it goes the way we think it's going to go on Friday, where Oregon wins that game by a score or 2 and Nix throws 4 more touchdowns, that Jaden's day is probably done. I think everyone around here disagrees with that, but I think everyone's kind of resigned themselves to it. But we'll be locked in on Friday, pulling for Washington. Right? I don't have a vote, no. Hester's got a vote. He's on in the morning.
Right there. Yeah. And that's a problem. That's why we got to change it right there. The reason itself is enough.
Our morning show guy, Jacob Hester's got a vote, and Scott Rabelais, who covers LSU, has a vote as well. But nobody else around these parts. Let's go to the SEC championship in Atlanta, 3 o'clock on CBS, the swan song for CBS with the SEC. Georgia and Bama, do you give the Tide a good chance?
I do. And the reason why is Jalen Milroe just has the ain't no telling factor to him. Like, he could wake up in Atlanta, throw on the Superman cape from his travel bag, show up to the stadium, and just go berserk. Like, he's that special. The way that I look at it, though, if you played this game 100 times, I think there's more ways for Georgia to win. I think also it would take a greater meltdown from Georgia than it would from Alabama to lose this game. Georgia's looked human at times, like in the first half and the first play of the Tennessee game, and the way they looked against Auburn for 3.5-ish quarters. But overall, we haven't seen them really have like this tremendous meltdown on both sides of the football. Whereas I think you can look at different games, especially early in the year, which Alabama's a better team than they were previously. You look at different games where Alabama, I think, has really struggled to just be dynamic. Like, I think if they have to throw the football, if you take away Jalen Milroe's legs, I don't know if there's another answer for you offensively if you're Alabama. You can try and throw the ball, but just Georgia's such a good matchup team in that secondary. I think it could end up being a long day for the Tide. So I think it is a close ball game, but I think Georgia actually ends up getting it done. I'll take them by a touchdown. So I'll have them to win and cover just barely there.
All right, we'll talk about all of it next week and preview the Heisman. Appreciate you, JD.
Appreciate it, man. Have a great one.
He's JD Picell, host of The Hard Count on On3, your daily dose of college football on On3's YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe to it. Get all of his content. He does an awesome job there. And with us every Wednesday at 1:15. It is Wednesday. That means let's come on back, do some What If Wednesday on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on all new 23 Ford F-150 Black Widow trucks, plus $2,750 discount APR and 5.9% for 72 months. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644.
On championship weekend, it's the Georgia Bulldogs and Alabama Crimson Tide for the SEC championship. Immediately following that game, it's Michigan and Iowa for the Big Ten title. Tune in to catch both of those games right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
A little bit of breaking news here on this Wednesday. Kim Mulkey just had a press conference over on campus and has announced that Angel Reese will return for tomorrow's game against Virginia Tech. Everyone who is at the press conference and is tweeting about it says this was a top 5 Kim Mulkey press conference since she's been at LSU. Scott Reveille said it was contentious and spirited. I don't have any quotes or any video because it literally is happening as we speak. But apparently there were some fireworks flying on campus today, and Angel Reese is going to be back. Potentially Matt may have some sound coming up on his show, but apparently quite a press conference, and Kim can do that. But Angel Reese will return to LSU women's basketball coming up tomorrow for a big game against Virginia Tech. I want to remind you about Snyder's Golf Mechanics. It's that time of year. Like, it's freezing cold outside. When you get off work, it's just about dark, and you're probably thinking, well, I'm not playing golf again until March. Doesn't have to be the case. Schneider's Golf Mechanics is an awesome place to work on your golf game or to have some fun playing golf when the elements don't exactly help out. It's right there on Bluebonnet, just north of I-10. They've got 2 world-class golf simulators. Whether you're looking to work on your game in a driving range type setting, whether you want to get a lesson, they've got video capabilities and TrackMan and all the kind of things you need to work on your game, or you just want to have some fun like I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm going to head over to Schneider's Golf Mechanics and probably going to play Pebble Beach on the golf simulator because that's fun. So it's climate controlled. It's got all the things you need to work on your game as well as all the things you need to have some fun. It's a new concept here in Baton Rouge, and we appreciate them for sponsoring our Wednesday shows. Matt Schneider's a certified teaching professional, and he can fix your golf clubs if you've got club head that fell off or some issue with the shaft. Their motto over there is fix your swing, fix your game, fix your clubs. So go over to see Schneider's Golf Mechanics today. I'm going to head on by tomorrow and have a little fun with that simulator. All right, it's Wednesday. It's 1:30. It means it's time for What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question. What if?
All right, got some from Twitter here. First one up, what if the Marlins relocated to New Orleans and were called the Redfish?
I like the team name. I like that a lot. I don't think it would work at all. New Orleans is just not big enough and motivated enough by Major League Baseball to support a team for the 81 games that it takes. They can't even handle 40 for the basketball game at this point, and they've got some marketable stars on that team, and they can't do a great job of filling that place up. So I think if the MLB is destined for Nashville at some point, it is not destined, in my opinion, for New Orleans. A lot of us have our allegiances to Major League Baseball down here. Some just don't care. I just don't think there's enough traction. The city can handle the Saints, and will handle the Saints forever, I think. The Pelicans, we'll see. Baseball not in the plans for NOLA at this point. Plus, weather is pretty warm down here and a little humid during the summer months.
All right, next one here. What if Jaden had the best season ever to not win the Heisman?
I don't know if we've done the research on that and whose season was the best statistically. I know that he's the only guy to account for this many touchdowns in SEC history that hasn't yet won the Heisman. The other 4 that did won it. He's had a great year, and we've had this discussion, and I guess all you football guys want us to continue to have it for the next 2 weeks, and we'll dabble, and we'll certainly get heavy into it on Monday of next week because we'll know what everybody's case is. But at this point, I think everybody's kind of convinced of where we sit, that Jaden's had the best year. He was the most outstanding player in college football, and he's going to sit on the sidelines while his competitor plays on a huge stage this week. It's not new news to anyone at this point, and I think we're all probably aware of where this thing might be headed.
All right, this one's interesting. What if all the championship games have upsets that are close? Who's the top 4 after that?
All of them have upsets that are close, okay? Well, let's look at the current rankings and see who's playing in them. We would have Georgia losing a close one. That means Alabama's in, I think, and Georgia, in my opinion, may be out. We'll see. If Michigan loses to Iowa, see ya. They're toast. They have no strong win outside of a home win. Well, Penn State, that's good, and Ohio State. So I shouldn't have gone that strongly, but it feels bad if they lose to Iowa. Washington loses to Oregon, they're definitely out, and I think Oregon's definitely in. Florida State loses to Louisville, they are definitely out. Texas loses, they are definitely out. So to me, that would give me
Ohio State maybe.
For sure, in my opinion, Oregon and Alabama are in as conference champions.
I don't think Ohio State.
Oregon wouldn't be an upset, I guess.
Yeah.
So I guess if we're going on just upsets, then Washington wins. Yeah. They're in and Oregon's out. So that's easy. So I can go as far as to say the Pac-12 winner's definitely in, and Alabama is definitely in my opinion, because Texas has lost. Alabama's issue may be Texas, but if we're going on upsets, Texas has lost. So if everybody's getting upset, to me, it would be Washington, Alabama, Georgia, and Michigan.
Michigan still gets in even if they lose. 22-point favorites.
Yeah, because they beat Ohio State.
Yeah, they have to be over Ohio State. There's no way.
And
Ohio
that would
State
be a better playoff than what we're going to get with Florida State, in my opinion. So, but yeah, that's the way I would see it. There's a potential for chaos, and there always is. There rarely results in chaos.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Next one here. What if LSU pulls in Arkansas and hires Will Wade as an assistant basketball coach?
Somebody must have gotten that from Jimmy's show today. That won't be happening.
No.
That will not be happening. We're going to talk about LSU's basketball performance at 2 o'clock, and I'll give my thoughts on it in 20 minutes. It was bad. And what I'm not going to do, as I said last week, is do a overview of the entire basketball program every time they lose. Because guess what? They're going to lose 15 more times this year. So, it is what it is.
All right, next one here. What if you had to take the ACT tomorrow?
Okay, so I still think...
What did you get when do you remember what you got?
I don't have to get into all that. But,
go ahead. It's okay.
I got a 27.
That's good.
It was good.
So
I'm a good test taker. Not a great student, but a good test taker. I think I would do very well in reading comprehension and like the grammar stuff.
Math is where it's going to...
I get that. Math, I would have no chance.
Yeah.
I probably did terrible on the math when I did it. I'm certain I would get like an 8 on it now. I can't do math at all. I took business calculus at LSU 3 different times. I withdrew the first time, made an F the second time, and I made a C the third time in business calculus because I got 100 on the first test the third time I took it. That was the third time I had taken the first business calculus test. I got 100 on it. I can't do math. And if I had to do it right now when I haven't done math since 2010, it's been 13 years since I did math, it would not go well. But I don't know science. I don't feel great about.
No.
It would be a bad score.
Yeah, it'd probably be in the low, probably in the high teens, maybe. And
I
probably
think I could get eligible. I think I could get eligible.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I could get into a lot of schools.
Yep. All right, last one here. What if you had to spend 24 hours in a Waffle House, but got to subtract an hour for every waffle that you ate? Oh, I've seen this before. People do this, I think, for fantasy football punishments.
Right. So let's. I think I could sit down and knock 5 waffles out pretty good. I think
easily.
I mean, they're pretty sizable.
They
waffles,
are,
right?
but they're not that big.
So I mean, just if we're trying to be conservative, not just be totally ridiculous, I think I knock out 5 waffles
instantly,
real quick.
Yeah.
Maybe get up and take a walk, and then I think that we could talk another 3 more there after about 30 minutes. So I've knocked down 8 hours of my 24 in 2 hours at Waffle House. So I'm 10 down. I have 14 to go. I could split the difference after that and give you 7. So in total, we've eaten like 15 waffles.
Yeah. So you get 9 hours after that.
I think that's 15 waffles in 9 hours. I think we're out of there.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would be feeling great about that.
No, you wouldn't. That would be some issues after, for sure.
It would be a tough scene, but we'd be out of the Waffle House for said tough scene. I think we can make that happen. So there we go. That's What If Wednesday. Always just bringing the really important stuff here. And I mentioned at the top of the segment that Kim Mulkey had apparently a pretty fiery press conference, and it just ended. They've got it up on ESPN right this second, and they got Angel Reese highlights going on and Kim Mulkey talking. It is this women's basketball program is a big deal. Like I know that there are a lot of our listeners who are really, really into it because LSU is really good, and I know that there are a lot of our listeners who do not care at all. They're a part of our listenership that don't care at all about baseball until you get to Omaha. But what's undeniable is how big a deal Kim Mulkey and Angel Reese are. And for SportsCenter to run this within 20 minutes of it happening in the little Baton Rouge Media Center and to get that feed and to have the video up on SportsCenter right now, this is not like ESPNU or SEC Network. This is on the 4-letter. And they've got it go. And they've got a reporter outside of Mike's cage reporting this. I don't know who that is. I forget I shouldn't know who that is.
I don't recognize who that is either, but that's kind of insane.
That is Katie Barnes, ESPN reporter. I have no idea who that is or how quickly they got out there, but that's amazing that ESPN is covering it that closely. So LSU will play Virginia Tech coming up on Thursday. That'll be a top 10 matchup between the Hokies and Tigers. That's probably how they got it up very quickly. If they're airing that on one of their networks and they've got a TV crew down here, I would imagine that's how they got it that quickly. But still impressive that LSU and this women's basketball program can go that quickly. All right, let's close out hour number 1 when we come back. A mock draft from The Athletic. Got a Saints pick. Got LSU first rounders. We'll tell you how all that shakes out next.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Jersey Mike's. Love telling you about Jersey Mike's. Stop by for a late lunch, Highway 30 in Gonzales, near that new Heritage Shopping Center. Bacon Ranch Chicken Cheesesteak, the original Italian. I tell you about those almost every day because those are my 2 favorites. But they got a lot of options, whether it's the cold subs, the club sub that's got your turkey, your ham, your bacon, got roast beef in there as well. And they fresh slice it right when you order. It's not packaged in a plastic bag somewhere. It's fresh slice right in front of you, put on that freshly baked bread. It is a great sub experience. And we always tell you about their catering orders. They've got boxes that have 12 individually wrapped subs, or you can do individual boxed lunches if you're feeding the office, feeding a party, feeding a family. Got a watch party that's going on to watch Saints and Lions. Always an awesome idea to get by Jersey Mike's. They're on DoorDash and all your delivery apps, and they also have an app of their own, the Jersey Mike's app, where you can get reward points towards free subs. Jersey Mike's, it's a sub above.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
His name was King. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. $20,000 off plus no payments for 90 days on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly
for a Thursday edition of Off the Bench. As Chef Michael Johnson joins the show for a new edition of Munchies, we preview championship weekend in college football and a new edition of Big Deal or No Big Deal. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So we'll wrap up the first hour here on a Wednesday edition presented by Snyder's Golf Mechanics with a mock draft from Dane Brugler of The Athletic. Again, as we look into these mock drafts this time of the year, you understand that the teams who make the selections are not all that important. We don't know what the next 7 weeks of the NFL season holds, and we don't know where people are going to pick, and we certainly don't know what teams are going to make trades. So at this point, it's just kind of a ranking of where players are relative to their draft stock as opposed to fits for teams. But that goes without saying. I loved this mock draft from Dane Brugler for LSU's perspective for obvious reasons. With the 6th selection in this mock draft to the New York Giants, but whatever, Malik Neighbors, LSU, 6th overall pick. And Brugler cites the big playability that Malik has made this year, and that the last guy to do that was Jamar Chase, and we've seen what he's come into in the NFL. He does have Jaden not far behind Malik. Malik at 6, Jaden Daniels at 7. Now, it will bum you Saints fans to know that that pick is awarded to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at this point, so Jaden Daniels could be in the division, but that's where he has Jaden Daniels penciled in. Brian Thomas, also in this first round. We've started to see this a little bit more as these mocks have started to leak out. And Brian Thomas in this mock draft, 23rd to Pittsburgh. And honestly, there's not a ton these guys are going to do between now and the draft. They'll certainly have an opportunity to go to the combine and interview and do the medical. And they can run if they want and go through the catching drills if they want. And then they can come back and do some pro day stuff. But they're hays in the barn from that perspective. We'll see if they decide to play in a bowl game. I don't know if they will or not. My gut tells me that Malik will probably play the first quarter, try to get his 25 yards, whatever it is that he needs, and then he'll take those shoulder pads off and tell Kyron Lacey and Jaylen Brown and Shelton Sands to go out there and have a day, is probably what I would imagine will happen. I don't know that. That comes from no inside information, but that's kind of what I think would happen. I don't think Jaden will play in the bowl game, and if Brian Thomas can or can decide not to. That just, if he wants to try to lead the country in touchdown receptions, have at it. Get out there and try to make it happen. But those, Malik, number 6 overall, Jaden, number 7 overall, Brian Thomas, number 23 overall. For those that are curious, well, what are the Saints doing in this mock draft? Well, you'll be familiar with the name that Dane Brugler is pegging to the New Orleans Saints. He's got the Saints picking number 12, which would suggest to me they did not make the playoffs. And he will put Keon Coleman, wide receiver from Opelousas up to Michigan State, now down at Florida State. I think that would be an exciting pick for Saints fans. I think obviously you're a little bit more excited to hear skill position players from big-time schools as opposed to Peyton Turner or Marcus Davenport or Trevor Penning. Those are a little more difficult to get excited for because you never heard of them until February, and they played at a school that nobody's ever watched. Sometimes those picks hit, sometimes they don't. But Keon Coleman, really exciting dude. I will sit here from today moving forward and suggest that the Saints ought to draft a quarterback in the first round this year, but I have no indication from anywhere in the Saints front office that that's even a thought at this point. They will, in my opinion, very likely trade up to go get one more piece to put around Derek Carr and continue to kick this can to Timbuktu at this point. But I thought this was a great, great sign for the LSU players to have Malik Neighbors at number 6. That's the highest I have seen him. Jaden Daniels at number 7, top 10, and the third quarterback off the board is really awesome. Brian Thomas, for him to be a first-round pick would be very cool as well. And then you got Keon Coleman there at number 12 to the Saints, which would be exciting because that's a Louisiana kid who we know from the last from Labor Day weekend. It didn't go so hot, but he'd be pretty exciting to pair next to Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed moving forward. So that's Dane Brugler's mock draft from The Athletic. You can check it out if you've got a subscription over there to The Athletic. That's it for hour number 1 here on a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Schneider's Golf Mechanics. You can find them at Bluebonnet, just north of I-10, the other side of the mall, Louisiana, in that strip shopping center place right there. Great little spot with 2 awesome golf simulators. You can work on your golf game or just have a little fun at Schneider's Golf Mechanics. Plus, they do these custom head covers that I've got on the set. If you're watching here on YouTube, Casey's got them showing up. They could do custom logos for you. They put the 104.5 ESPN logo on mine, but they can do anything for you. So if you're looking for a stocking stuffer or a Christmas present for the golfer in your life, or you just want new head covers, Schneider's Golf Mechanics can help you out with those custom head covers. Just give them a little time, get on by, and they can make it happen for you. I opened the show talking about LSU's defensive front and where they go from here moving into next year. The entire defense needs a significant overhaul, and we started with the defensive line today. JD Picell, host of the Hard Count on 3, with us every Wednesday. He joined us at 1:15. So What If Wednesday? We did all things from Waffle House to the ACT to professional baseball in New Orleans. You can catch that on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. And if you want to hear the LSU segment, you can find that at Hunt on LSU on YouTube. We always appreciate subscriptions to that page. We'll come back after Sports Center at 2:15. I've got college football playoff thoughts, SEC football power rankings for this week, and the first ones we did back in September. So that should get a little spicy. And my thoughts on LSU Syracuse coming up after Sports Center. You're listening to a Wednesday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. $20,000 off plus no payments for 90 days on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on all new 23 Ford F-150 Black Widow trucks, plus $2,750 discount APR and 5.9% for 72 months. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers cleared to practice 11 weeks after surgery to repair a torn Achilles. The team's got 21 days to decide whether to activate him from IR. For now, Rodgers probably limited to light drills in practice. He hasn't yet been cleared for contact. Coach Robert Saleh.
I promise Aaron is not going to do anything that puts himself in harm's way. If he is not healthy to play, Aaron is very, very smart. That's not something he's going to put himself at risk for.
Serious setback on the offensive line for the Texans amid their playoff push. Starting left guard Titus Howard expected to miss the remainder of this season with a knee injury. NBA Pelicans guard C.J. McCollum planning to return from a collapsed lung tonight against the 76ers, reports ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. New Orleans 5-7 without him this month. Star forward Angel Reese, after a 4-game absence, rejoining 7th-ranked LSU tomorrow against number 9 Virginia Tech. Coach Kim Mulkey has declined to go into detail why Reese has not been with the team for much of the past 2 weeks, beyond saying it stemmed from unspecified locker room issues.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Presented by Schneider's Golf Mechanics. Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Wednesday shows brought to you by Schneider's Golf Mechanics. One more hour to go here. Half the work week in the rear view mirror. Appreciate you hanging out with us. I've got some thoughts on the college football playoff rankings from last night and how it relates to the Southeastern Conference into the 12-team playoff as we move forward that LSU hopes to be involved in. So not a completely worthless segment here locally. I've got some thoughts that do absolutely pertain to LSU as it goes to the college football playoff rankings. And we'll get to my SEC football power rankings for the final time this year at the bottom of hour number 2. And we'll give you a look at how I ranked them after the first week. And it's interesting, to say the very least. But we do have to start with LSU on the hardwood last night against Syracuse. Tigers lose it by the final score of 80-57. 23-point margin, probably pretty accurate for the way that this game played out, specifically in the second half. LSU played a very, very, very poor basketball game last night. And sometimes they're going to play very poorly because it's not a great team. And sometimes they're going to play pretty well, and they'll win some games. But last night they were bad. And it started early in the game where McLeod, the 7'4" center for Syracuse, kind of bottled up Will Baker. He's given up 4 inches there. He's not the quickest, most athletic guy. He didn't drag him out to the perimeter. They went around the rim, and Baker couldn't make anything around the bucket. And so they had to find other ways to score. And the easiest way to do that is to hit some jump shots from the outside. And they were 1 of 12 from three-point range in the first half. Just awful. And they couldn't find any sort of rhythm offensively because, honestly, their best offense is going to be Baker around the rim and stepping out and then creating jump shots because he's their most effective player. Jalen Reed has been pretty good for a lot of the year, and in this game he did go 6 of 10 from the floor, and he did make both of his free throws, and he scored 14 points. But they struggled in the first half. And meanwhile, on the other side of the floor, the defense stunk. They could not keep any of Syracuse's guards in front of them. And Syracuse continued to attack the rim and get fouled. And if they weren't getting fouled at the rim, they were getting offensive rebounds and getting fouled at that point. And it wasn't that LSU wasn't doing a good job of rebounding, and it wasn't that the shot blockers were doing a very poor job of discipline. It was that they couldn't keep Syracuse from attacking downhill, and they were in compromised positions, and they continued to foul guys, and Syracuse went 14 of 15 from the line. It was a bad first half, but you stayed in it. You were in the game at halftime down 5 points. And then in the second half, Judah Mintz, who you didn't guard the whole day, got a couple layups and hit a three, and then bam, you're down 13 points. And LSU never really guarded him. In the game, he was 9 of 16 from the floor. He made both of his threes. He was 13 of 15 from the free throw line and scored a career-high 33 points in the game. And LSU never got really back in it. They cut it to 9, but it never got down to like 4. They got blown out in the second half. Got dusted by a pretty average Syracuse team that got toyed with by Gonzaga and Tennessee. Now, you're not in Gonzaga and Tennessee's realm, but neither Syracuse. And you weren't in Syracuse's realm last night, which was really disappointing to me. Here is my biggest problem now that we've got a little bit of a sample size against real competition. Dayton is a real team. Syracuse is a real team. Wake Forest is a real team. North Texas is a pretty functional team. And you're going to bring up Nichols and whatever, but I think that was just an aberration where Nichols got white hot and LSU couldn't make anything. But against the teams that are going to be fairly comparable to your conference foes, not right now what they've got at Arkansas or what they've got at Kentucky, who played great last night, or what they've got at Tennessee, but comparable to what you're going to see from Ole Miss and what you're going to see from Vanderbilt and South Carolina and some of these teams that you ought to play with. LSU's guard play is bad again. And that's where I thought they could make the biggest upgrade, because last year you had a point guard come up from a level below and his game didn't translate. And you had a guy coming off an injury who was thought to be a huge impact guy who didn't play very well. And because your guard play was so limited and so compromised, you really didn't have a chance. And LSU went out and reloaded at guard, and right now those guys are not playing well. Your veteran guards last night, Jordan Wright and Trey Hannibal, had 9 turnovers. 9 turnovers. Carlos Stewart and Mike Williams combined to shoot 2 of 11 from the floor, and neither one of those guys attempted a free throw. And we're not going to rehash the Jalen Cook thing each and every week, even though Musa Cisse did get cleared at Ole Miss last night. But this is the team. And right now, they're not playing well at guard. And in a guard-dominated sport, when you're not shooting worth a flip, you're turning it over a ton, and you can't keep teams out of the lane, it's just an uphill battle. And Judah Mintz is an all-conference guard, and he just did whatever he wanted last night. Now, I said before the season started that I thought LSU would shoot it pretty well from 3. Jordan Wright's been a very average, steady three-point shooter in the SEC. Carlos Stewart was a scorer at Santa Clara. I thought he'd do that. Will Baker has shot the 3 at a high level for a 7-footer. Tyrell Ward is a good shooter. And you saw him come out in the exhibition game. And I know it's Louisiana Christian. I'm well aware of the competition level and that getting open shots is a lot easier against those guys. But they lit it up from 3. And I thought they'd be a top half of the SEC shooting team. That, yeah, I was worried about rim protection. Yeah, worried about defending guys because the guys that you brought in seem to be more offensive-oriented than defensive-oriented. And I was worried about that too. But I thought they could fall back on knocking down some shots, and that can keep you in a game and win you some games when you get really hot. And they've now had quite a few games early. Nichols, absolutely. Last night, absolutely, where you cannot throw it in the ocean. And that is where I've missed thus far big time on this team. I don't think my expectation was too high. I don't think that my criticism was unfounded in some of the places in their game. But I've whiffed on the shooting deal because last night, Carlos Stewart, who just looks kind of lost right now, was 0 of 3 from three-point range. Mike Williams missed his only one. Jordan Wright was 1 of 9. Imwani, I didn't even mention him. We know he can make those corner threes. He was 0 of 3. Tyrell Ward only hit 1. He was 1 of 4. I mean, you finished 2 of 22. That's 9%. And when you can't go into the post guy because they've got a monster down there that's blocking shots, you've got to make some jump shots or at least win off the bounce enough to get to the line as a bunch of guards. Carlos Stewart shot no free throws. Mike Williams shot no free throws. Tyrell Ward shot no free throws. Trey Hannibal shot 2 free throws. You're just not putting any pressure on the defense. And then you didn't defend on the other end. It was a really bad performance. And I think we'll get to a point here in the next 3 weeks because so many of you have been totally tuned out on basketball. And trust me, I get it. I do not blame you 1 second for not being locked in on what this team is doing right now. We've got so much disposable time on our hands, and to elect to spend a lot of it on this team in November is not what a lot of you want to do, and I fully get it. I'm going to do it because I love watching my alma mater play basketball. I love doing it. So I'll be here, and whenever you want to come over, whenever that is, I'll have you set up and ready to go. But we'll get to a point in about 3 weeks where I'm not going to say I'm not doing a referendum on the entire program every time they lose. We're not quite deep enough because we're just getting some of y'all rolling in for me to tell you, but I'm not going to do the whole program and where it's headed every time they lose. They're not done losing in the non-conference, and they're going to lose more conference games than they win. So if you're talking about me having that discussion 15 more times this year, I'm not doing it. I can do it right now. I'm not going to do it 15 times. So right now, it's a team that is a little more talented than last year. I think has a little more upside than last year. I think has some significant flaws and needs to play a lot better and is compromised and playing poorly at a big spot where you need him at guard. But I think they're going to do better than that. I really don't think they're going to be close to 2 for 22 from 3 very often. I just don't. Now, you got to stop Syracuse from scoring 80, and I'd really like that. But some of that happened after it got away, and I thought the effort level in the last 5 minutes was questionable. They got to make jump shots. And if you show me the box score before and you tell me that Jordan Wright's going 1 of 9 from 3 and Carlos Stewart's going 0 of 3 from 3 and Tyrell Ward's going 1 of 4 from 3 and Imwani Wilkinson's going 0 of 3 from 3, I will tell you, don't watch that game. They're not winning. And they didn't. And they weren't all that competitive with the middle-of-the-road ACC team last night. Really a big bummer for LSU. They're back in action coming up on Friday afternoon. Friday evening. Nobody plays on Friday afternoon. Friday evening in the PMAC is when they're next up. So we'll get to that in a couple of days. But 80-57 the final. Just a bummer night for LSU up in Syracuse. Bummed me out. But I'll be back on Friday, locked in, watching them play for 2 hours because that's the way I'm wired. We'll talk some football coming up next. The SEC football power rankings. How did I see it after week 1? How do I see it right now? And how do those compare? We've got some quotes from back at the end of August. We'll do that next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
As the weather gets colder, NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action than right now. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options. They include spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. Visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. $5 pregame money line wager required. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issues and eligible bonus bet that expires 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you're someone who has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find him on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction.
From Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar and Town Square Pizza, Paul Nolan will be with us. Dwayne Colucci is with us, and Matt Humans from Las Vegas. Live at lunch, 11 a.m. weekdays on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Congratulations to Bradley Bjork. Bradley is the season champion in our 2023 Twin Peaks College Football Pick'em. Bradley wins a brand new 75-inch TV and soundbar. Also, congratulations to Kevin Helt Sr. and Everett Fakiti. Kevin and Everett are our Week 13 winners in the 2023 Twin Peaks College Football Pick'em contest and win a Twin Peaks gift card, and that wraps up our final regular season week for the College Football Pick'em.
Back here on a Wednesday, we're presented by Schneider's Golf Mechanics. If you're checking out the show on YouTube and you see these head covers right here on set, they're custom head covers from Schneider's Golf Mechanics. If you'd like to get some of those made for you for Christmas, whether it's initials or logo, team logo, whatever you want, Schneider's Golf Mechanics can make them happen for you. So get them by Blue Bonnet, just north of I-10. Get some custom head covers. Hit some golf balls. Schneider's Golf Mechanics brings you our Wednesday shows. All right, here's what we're going to do in this segment. I'm going to give you my final SEC Power Rankings of the season. This will be the last edition. And then when I'm done, we're going to go back and look at what I said after week 1 of the college football season. We'll see how they compare a couple of months down the road. I think you'll be interested to hear a little bit of that. We'll start at the top for my final power rankings. Still got the Georgia Bulldogs at 1, should come as no surprise. Still got Alabama at number 2, should come as no surprise. I am holding firm with Missouri as the 3rd best team in the SEC. So impressed with Eli Drinkwitz. The only 2 losses for that team this year in Athens and in a shootout against LSU. Missouri finishes 10-2, 6-2, and last night stayed ahead of Ole Miss in those rankings. So you would figure that they're going to be the 3rd SEC representative in the playoff / New Year's 6 bowls. So that's impressive stuff from Eli Drinkwitz. They are 3rd. Excuse me. Got Ole Miss at 4, 10-2, 6-2. Not an impressive performance in the Egg Bowl, but they did win it. So we'll put the Rebels at number 4. I've got LSU at 5. What an explosive offense. Really fun team to watch. The defense, Not very good. So LSU comes in at 5 at 9-3, 6-2. This is where I deviate from the head-to-head rankings and from just the records as a whole. And I do put Texas A&M ahead of Tennessee. I've got A&M at 6 and the Vols at 7. I just think A&M was a better team. Yes, Tennessee beat them in Knoxville, but A&M, down some quarterbacks. Thought the defense was pretty good. Tennessee had some really woeful weeks down the stretch. So I'll take A&M at 6, the Vols at 7, put Kentucky at number 8. I had Florida backslide a little bit there to number 9. Kentucky had a nice win to finish the season. I'm not sure how Mark Stoops comes back from clearly taking another job, but that's for another day. So I've got Kentucky. They finished 3-5 in league play, 7-5 at 8. Florida at 9. They were 5-7, 3-5 in league play, but I still think they were better than Auburn, maybe. Auburn, that New Mexico State loss was not great. So we've got Florida at 9, Auburn at 10, South Carolina down at 11. They finished 5-7, 3-5 in league play. I tussled with Arkansas and Mississippi State. Inevitably, I went Arkansas 12, Mississippi State 13, and then Vanderbilt down at number 14. So I'll run through them quickly. Georgia 1, Bama 2, Missouri 3, Ole Miss 4, LSU 5, A&M 6, Tennessee at 7, Kentucky at 8, Florida at 9, Auburn at 10, South Carolina at 11, Arkansas at 12. They joined Mississippi State at 1-8 in the league, Mississippi State 13, and Vanderbilt down at 14. That's the way I see it today. Now, I did not do SEC football power rankings the Wednesday before the season started. So, after week 1, we had seen Florida get dominated by Utah. We had seen LSU lose to Florida State. We had seen who else played a big-time game week 1? Vanderbilt had gone 2-0. But we had seen 1 week of action, and I decided to give my SEC football power ranking. So we've got some of the quotes that I gave cut up, and we'll start at the bottom this time. We do have my thoughts on Vandy, and I think I was working on a proper assumption with the Commodores. I'm just going to work off the assumption that Vanderbilt's the worst team in the league until I'm proven wrong. That's kind of just a baseline. And Vanderbilt never moved. They started at 14, and they finished at 14. So huge credit to me. You look at a guy that's got some foresight, got some football acumen, understands where things are headed, can analyze a roster 1 to 85. I had Vanderbilt down at the bottom. I put Florida at number 13. They finished at 9, so they did move up, but we had seen them get dominated by Utah. I thought they looked awful, so I had them at 13. They moved up to 9. Now, here's a pretty big whiff here. At number 12, third from the bottom, I had the Missouri Tigers. Missouri got a week 0 game, and maybe they're better than this, but I've got them at number 12. Brady Cook is fine. Their defense has been mediocre, and Eli Drinkwitz is good for a soundbite. Is he good for winning a bunch of games? Not to this point. Got a contract extension for doing basically nothing. So haven't seen much of Missouri in terms of, they haven't been tested, but I'll take Missouri at number 12. That was a whiff, and I don't know that anybody had him at 3 at the end of the year, but that's where I've got him, and that's, again, a credit to Eli Drinkwitz and what he did with them. I had Auburn at 11. They ended up 1 spot ahead of that at 10. I had Arkansas at 10. They were 12 at the end, so they backed up, but I didn't have them as being very good. Had Kentucky at 9. They finished at 8. Had South Carolina at 8. They finished down at 11. Didn't really know what to do with South Carolina based on the finish they had last year, beating Tennessee, beating Clemson. Can you turn that into some momentum? The answer was a resounding no for Shane Beamer in that program. So I had them at 8. They finished at 11. I had Ole Miss at 7. If you remember yesterday's exercise, I took the under on Ole Miss's season-long win total, and they ended up winning 10 games. The bottom fell out last year. Did I think that Pete Golding was going to make a huge impact on defense and that Jackson Dart would graduate to be one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC? I didn't, so I had Ole Miss at 7. They finish up at 4. Now, here's another absolute whiff by me. You'll hear the reasons why, but at number 6, after 1 week of football, I had who would eventually be number 13, the Mississippi State Bulldogs. And at 6, I've got Mississippi State. I think a lot of people would have them significantly lower than this because they did not look great against Southeastern Louisiana. However, I was high on Mississippi State entering the season, and the reasons I was high on Mississippi State entering the season are the reasons I'm still high on them, relatively speaking. You realize that Mississippi State is going to start 10 seniors on offense and 10 seniors on defense. That includes some grad students as well. But 20 4th, 5th, and 6th year players are their top 22. One sophomore, one junior. Always good to poke a little fun. Like, that's veteran stuff. 10 seniors on both sides of the ball.
So if you heard Hunt's voice in the background there, it might be a little weird to you because he was talking.
Weird to me.
And then there was also Hunt talking at the same time. I think the reason why that happened is because while I was recording it, Hunt was in the studio.
That's what all that noise was.
And I believe that the microphone was potted up, so that was why it was picking it up. So
it did. Either way, I was looking at 10 seniors on defense, 10 seniors on offense. I'm not betting against Will Rogers. Got a defense with Zach Arnett coming back. Mississippi State, I got him at 6. Well, they finished at 13. That was an absolute whip. I got LSU right from my perspective. I had them at 5 after 1 week. I've got them at 5 today. I think after 1 week we had seen something from that defense that was a little fishy, and I had bumped them down a little bit. At number 4, I had Texas A&M after a week. They finished at 6, so not a huge chasm, but what I have to say about the Aggies. I get Georgia ahead of them. I get Bama being ahead of them. Wait, who else is – where's A&M? I've got A&M at 4. I can't help it. They got this maroon Kool-Aid sitting here, and it's got all these 5 stars in it, and I just can't quite knock it off the table. Maybe I need clinical help. Get a shrink. Certainly, I can't sit there and watch. I don't even remember who they played on Saturday. Somebody was not good. New Mexico. There it is. It just came to me. Oh, you're taking a 5-7 team that beat New Mexico and you're going to flip the script like that? Right now? Yeah. Well, that didn't work out. They weren't terrible. They just backed up 2 spots, but it was correct. I needed clinical help. I just kept drinking the 5-star maroon Kool-Aid, kept thinking they were better than they were, and it turns out they were never better than most people thought they were, which was an 8-4, 7-5 team, and that's what they were. But I had them at 4. I had Tennessee at 3 after a week. They had just throttled Virginia. Coming off, I thought that maybe the tempo was going to work. Turns out Virginia was awful, which we should have known. But had Tennessee at 3. They finished at 7. And then a final soundbite, because we know we'll have Georgia at number 1. And I had Bama at 2, which turned out to be correct. My thoughts on the Tide after 1 week.
It was the Georgia that we had.
Well, then go with Georgia because I got that right.
Yep.
So I've got Bama at 2, and that puts Georgia at 1. The talent level here is just so massive. And was Carson Beck Heisman worthy on Saturday? No. I got home yesterday and turned on the TV and SEC Network had been on. I don't spend a lot of time listening to the Feinbaum show, but it was on. And the first guy that called in was a big Georgia fan. He was just ripping Carson Beck. Deer in the headlights, doesn't know what he's doing. Bennett had the it factor. This guy didn't have it. It's like, wow, how perspective has changed in Athens over the last 3 years. But I think that the talent level is just so big that they're going to be so tough on defense that you just get the ball to Bowers, you get the ball out to McConkey, you run it, it's going to be fine. So they were fine. So I got the bookends. I got Georgia at 1, Vandy at 14. No, I mean that's credit to me. That's heady stuff to have that right. I had Bama at 2, I had LSU at 5. That's all right. The big whiffs, having Mississippi State at 6, that was atrocious. Having Missouri at 12 was atrocious. And everybody else kind of filed in. I was low on Ole Miss, had them at 7. They finished at 4. But the big misses, Mississippi State being good and Missouri being bad, were very much flipped over. Mississippi State won 1 league game and Missouri went 10-2. But it's always good to go check your paper, check your grade, make sure that you're holding yourself accountable. So we'll get in the lab, we'll get in the film room, we'll come back next year and we'll try to be perfect from start to finish. Something tells me that probably won't happen. College football playoff ranking show last night. LSU's not really concerned with that, but they will be next year, hopefully. I've got thoughts on what it meant for the Southeastern Conference last night and scheduling moving forward. This is the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. Give David Duvall and his team a call. go to the website, onebathandclosets.com. They can change your living situation, whether it's the bathroom or the closet with a full-scale renovation, just a quick remodel. Maybe you got a great interest rate and you don't want to leave your current property, but you'd like to fix up the old house. David Duvall and his team can do it. Full-scale bathroom renovation, or maybe just a tub-to-shower conversion. You don't use that tub. You don't have maniac 2-year-old Myers-Palmer splashing all over the place every night, going nuts in the tub. You're just a shower house at this point. Well, take that tub out, put in a glass walk-in shower, and change the aesthetic and the functionality of your bathroom. From a closet perspective, if you've got clutter, if you got too much stuff, you don't have enough room, most people are in that situation. David Duvall and his team can help you out. Go to onebathandclosets.com, request the free consultation, see the great pictures of their work, see the testimonials from their satisfied clients. They're going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. Onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206.
This Sunday for a trio of NFL games. We start with the noon kickoff, the Dolphins at Commanders. Immediately following that game, it's 49ers and Eagles. And then the nightcap, the Kansas City Chiefs at Green Bay Packers. Catch all 3 of those games right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Wednesday show is brought to you by Schneider's Golf Mechanics. Blue Bonnet just north of I-10. 2 world-class golf simulators in there. You can work on your game. Matt Schneider is a certified teaching professional. He can help beginners or high-level amateur players, whether you're looking to learn your ball speed, club head speed, all your spin metrics, all that you're looking for, how far the ball's carrying. He can do that with the technology they've got. If you're just trying to learn the game and can't spend 5 hours on a golf course right now, you can go in there for an hour. Sliders Golf Mechanics, get a climate-controlled lesson. Don't have to worry about the cold. Don't have to worry about it getting dark at 5 o'clock. It's a great indoor option to have some fun playing golf or to improve your game. Schneider's Golf Mechanics. Check into the membership options over there at Schneider's Golf Mechanics. College football playoff rankings came out last night, and I realize that most who follow LSU don't care anymore because LSU's got 3 losses, and they're not going to be in the New Year's Six Bowl, and they're not going to be in the college football playoffs, so why do we care? And if you're an LSU fan, I don't know that you really would care, but I have some thoughts on the way that this continues to shake out with the committee. And I want to look at it strictly to start from an SEC perspective because that's something that's going to carry over to the 12-team playoff. How the SEC teams are looked at matters to LSU. Georgia didn't schedule anybody in the non-conference. We know that. Now, they did beat Missouri, who's ranked 9th, and they did beat Ole Miss, who's ranked 11th. And they'll see Alabama coming up. But they were not penalized at all for having an atrocious non-conference schedule. They're Georgia. They look good. They won all their games. That's all that matters. Did you go out there and schedule Oklahoma? Yeah. Did you play that game? No. Did you play USC or Ohio State? No. You played Ball State or something. I don't even know who they played. They played 4 teams that stink, 3 in Georgia Tech. But it doesn't matter. They're number 1 because they're undefeated. Bama went out and scheduled Texas. And had they scheduled Rice instead of Texas, they'd be what? 2, 3 behind Georgia and Michigan? And depending on how everybody else did, maybe as an undefeated team could afford to lose to Georgia and still get in. Now, as it stands, they have to win that game. They're punished for scheduling an out-of-conference game. LSU went out and scheduled Florida State this year. Guess what? LSU lost that game. They come in where in the college football playoff rankings? 13. How many make the playoff next year? 12. If instead of scheduling Florida State, they've scheduled Florida International, well, they'd be up there at 9 in front of Missouri because they beat Missouri. So again, why would you schedule Florida State if Florida International accomplishes more for you? You're just trying to get wins, as best I can tell. Who's Washington's best non-conference opponent? None. You just got to win games. That's what this looks like from an SEC perspective. Now, not every year is the same. You can't control what everybody else in the country does, so I can't lay any concrete, factual claim to what's going to happen starting in 2024 and moving forward. But I can analyze this situation and say that Alabama and LSU have certainly been penalized for losing against quality non-conference teams. Florida State's undefeated, and Texas only has 1 loss. That's about as good a loss as you can have outside your league. Georgia and Michigan and Washington didn't schedule anybody, but they're undefeated. I don't care that Georgia... Let me just look. I'll just look it up. Who did Georgia play in the non-conference besides Georgia Tech? That's easy to look up. They started with UT Martin, Ball State, and UAB. That's a smarter schedule based on what I'm looking at right now than playing USC, UCLA next year and playing Florida State the last 2 years. And I don't know how you could argue differently. Because guess what? Texas isn't exactly getting a huge bump from beating Alabama. Ohio State and Oregon are ranked ahead of them right now. Oregon didn't play anybody out of the conference. Oregon's non-conference was Portland State. They went to Texas Tech, who was atrocious, and they played Hawaii. So it's not like Texas is getting a big bump from going to Tuscaloosa and winning. They're on the outside looking in to Oregon. So why am I doing that? I just need to get wins. Wins. Not quality wins, wins. That's what it looks like to me. I mean, look at the Big Ten. Ohio State beat number 17 Notre Dame on the road out of conference. That's number 17 Notre Dame today, not when they played. Oregon's best win on the year thus far is number 20 Oregon State. And Oregon's ahead of Ohio State. From me and my perspective, especially if you're an SEC team, why would you schedule anybody out of the league? Now, I can listen to LSU needed that Virginia Tech win in 2007. I can listen to it. I'm not telling you that my way is 100% right and that scheduling tough non-conference is 100% wrong. I just feel strongly about the goal being to get wins, whether it's Ball State, Portland State, Rice, Florida International. The risk you take on by playing a high-profile non-conference game and potentially losing it doesn't seem worth it to me in this scenario, because I'm telling you, if we had a 12-team playoff, LSU would be in if they had played Florida International and not Florida State. Now, they'd certainly be in if they beat Florida State and got to 10-2, but that's a risk. There is no risk in playing Florida International. That's not good for the sport. And I realize that the games have to count, and you can't just dismiss everybody if they don't fit into your elite level box based on record. But if I'm trying to make the playoff, I'm telling you, Troy's getting a lot of phone calls from me. I'm blowing up Arkansas State. Middle Tennessee State's going to be hearing a lot from me. They're coming to Tiger Stadium. And I know that's not what you want as a fan. And maybe you would come in here and tell me, no, if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. Give me the tough opponents. I want the big-time Saturdays in the fall. Give me USC in Vegas. Give me UCLA here in Tiger Stadium. I want to play Ohio State. I want to be the toughest, the biggest, and the baddest. And that's fine if that's the way you want to consume college football. But my contention has always been and will always be, all I care about is how does LSU win a championship? And what this tells me, these rankings year after year, week after week, says go play Middle Tennessee State. We'll see. Maybe next week on Monday, when we've got the college football playoff set up and they've determined who got trumped what, I'll come back and say, you know what? It's a really good thing that Texas went and played Bama, because that got them in. I will eat all the crow you can serve me if I'm 100% proved wrong. But I just don't think I'm going to be proved wrong. And I think that's crappy for the sport. And I do think that if you're an SEC team, you pump the brakes. And unfortunately, as we sit here today, from my perspective, LSU is not doing that. They're hammering the gas. Give me Lincoln Riley. Bring me UCLA. And oh, by the way, Texas and Oklahoma are coming, and Oklahoma's coming here next year. So it's interesting. My thoughts. We should make a Citizens Bank and Trust poll question of the day. We'll do that during the break, and we'll fire it up on the Twitter and see what the results may be one way or another. But I thought the most impactful thing from an SEC perspective is that Missouri ahead of Ole Miss at number 9. Ole Miss is number 11. So it looks like Mizzou in line for that New Year's 6 spot come New Year's Day. We'll come back and close it out. It is a Wednesday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
LWCC is Louisiana loyal. They're elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. Marucci Sports, certainly a champion of Louisiana. Started in a backyard here NBR. Now they're among the elite in terms of the baseball equipment game. I love this video that Casey brings up. If you're watching on YouTube, of my guy Anthony Rizzo taking some hacks in the baseball performance lab. It's people like that at the top of the sport coming down here to see what Marucci has to offer. They bring talent into the state, and then they bring talent into the state to work here as well. It's a battle we fight all the time in the state of Louisiana as to how do we get talent and create jobs here. Marucci Sports certainly doing their part. Makes them a champion of Louisiana. If you know a champion of Louisiana, we invite you to go to lwcc.com/champions and nominate a new champion of Louisiana so that we can tell their story. Marucci Sports, a champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana loyal.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade, time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find him on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the
Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. Russ Mitchell will preview the SEC Championship game, and we'll head up to Detroit, take a closer look at the Lions. Join us for Wednesday's AFR, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Tiger fans, be a part of the ultimate LSU experience on Sunday, December 3rd. That is this Sunday. When you finish on the 50-yard line in Tiger Stadium at the Our Lady of the Lake Elf Tiger 10K, visit 1045ESPN.com today to register for a free pair of race entries. And for more information, visit tiger10k.com.
You're struggling to find a way to practice your golf game because it's getting dark when you're off work, or it's cold outside, or some of the driving ranges you might go to are struggling with grass or the balls aren't very good, and you don't find a place to practice. Schneider's Golf Mechanics can help you with that. You're going to get a perfect lie every time. You're going to hit real good golf balls, and you're going to get the feedback that you need based on how your swing looks and the results it's producing into those golf simulators over at Schneider's Golf Mechanics. It's a great way to practice your game, especially during these winter months when grass isn't growing out there and the wind's blowing and it's freezing cold and you got a jacket. Go before work, go during lunch, right after work. Schneider's Golf Mechanics, a great place to practice. They bring you our Wednesday shows here on the Hunt Palmer Show. All right, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
All righty, first one we've got here. Bobby Petrino will save Sam Pittman's job. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave that in a hurry. The glee in Fayetteville over this is surprising to me. Now, I realize that they don't have a lot of great memories, especially the Arkansas fans under 60, and that Bobby Petrino did provide some of those, but it's not like he worked wonders at A&M. They were fine, and they got a lot better players than Arkansas had. It's not like he was setting records at Missouri State. He got fired at Louisville. Like, this guy did not invent football. And they're just the thought that this is going to save that sinking ship is shocking to me. But that's the way they feel because of what he did in, let me check my notes here, 2011. That was 12 years ago. It'll be 13 years ago by the time we kick this thing off next year. This is a sinking ship. Petrino's going to collect his $1 million check. Sam Pittman's inching closer to getting a buyout and heading to the lake, and they're going to be terrible next year. So, no.
Max Johnson is headed to North Carolina as a grad transfer. Max will win the starting job, and his brother Jake will follow. Take it or leave it.
I will leave it. I think Max might win the starting job. I don't know if Jake will want to go with him.
Probably tired of having to continue to just transfer around.
Yeah, I mean, Jake's only transferred once, but he'd have to sit out if he went because he's not going to be a graduate. Max is a graduate, so his second transfer is okay. I think Max is a functional college quarterback and can be a starter at a normal ACC school like that. I don't know if I'd peg him to be the guy at Alabama anytime soon, but he's fine, and I think he may. I don't know anything about what they got after Drake May over there, but he'll probably be the starter if I had to guess, and I think he'll put up just a regular average season in Chapel Hill.
Aaron Rodgers has been cleared to practice just 11 weeks after surgery for a torn Achilles. Rodgers will play again this season. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I think he will play again just to prove a point. He likes to be the center of attention. He likes to prove that he's smarter than everybody else. And you say, well, that's an Achilles. He's going to be out 10 months. He goes, screw that. I'll be back in 11 weeks. Like, he's just wired that way. I think it's crazy to go back and play for this Jets team. But there's a part of me, small part, but a part of me that respects him saying I signed a contract when I'm healthy enough to play, I'm going to play, as opposed to what a lot of folks do now, which is demand a trade or bail or head somewhere else at the first sign of adversity or just collect your check and move on. So maybe there's a part of me that's a little bit appreciative of that effort, but I think it's nuts.
All right, last one here. Dennis Allen was asked today if Derek Carr has any blame at all in the red zone struggles and said, quote, "We're not really in the business of the blame game. We're in the business of production." And then was asked, can Derek do anything better? And said, to try to single him out is not the right way to go. Dennis Allen sucks at media. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. That was a protecting my quarterback answer. It gave us nothing, and we all know that Derek Carr stinks in the red zone, and we all know that the last 3 times the Saints scored in the red zone, Derek Carr was on the sidelines because Jameis Winston threw the touchdowns and Taysom Hill threw a touchdown. But I think calling him out's not going to help anything.
Well, no, but you don't have to call him out, but you could say, at least say, yeah, he's definitely has some area room to improve in the red zone.
I think my answer to that would have been everybody's got to be better. We got to block better. We got to run it better. We got to protect better. He's got to make better decisions. We got to run better routes. We got to catch it. Everything's got to be better in the red zone for us to do. That's because they're all talking about how apparently Allen or Loomis or somebody on Monday night said that the Saints lead the NFL in red zone opportunities over the last month or something. It's like, well, that makes you feel a lot better because that's what they're keeping score with now. Yeah. How many times you get inside the 20? Put a number up there. Score a touchdown.
Put it on the resume.
That? Good grief. That's it for Take It or Leave It. It's just not great on Airline Highway right now. And I don't think it's going to be great in the Dome on Sunday, but we'll talk a little bit about that on tomorrow's show presented by Rouses. We'll have Luke Johnson on. We'll certainly have Chris Blair on as well after his trip up to chilly, snowy Syracuse. We'll get his thoughts on some football and some basketball on tomorrow's show. Our Wednesday show is brought to you by Schneider Golf Mechanics. We opened up talking about LSU's defensive front and where they go from here. You can catch that at Hunt on LSU on YouTube. Hunt on LSU. We've got a channel there for all your LSU football needs. JD Picell from On3 Sports talking national college football as we do with him every Wednesday. It was a What If Wednesday. What if I had to take the ACT tomorrow was the question asked, and we had a few others. Dane Brugler's mock draft. Malik Neighbors, top 10 with Jaden Daniels. That was a cool thing to see. Brian Thomas in the first round as well. I talked about that at the end of hour number 1. My thoughts on LSU against Syracuse last night at the top of hour number 2. Also, my SEC football power rankings. The last one as compared to the first one, which was rather interesting. And then what the college football playing rankings said to me last night. Appreciate y'all for hanging out with us. Catch all of that on demand wherever you get your audio or video. Matt's about to drive you home on After Further Review. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
His name was Cain. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.